Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special Mayor and Council meeting of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs. Today is May 7th, 2018. It's 2:10 p.m. Madam Clerk, could I have a roll call?
Mayor Kranjak,
Here.
Councilperson Zaversa,
Here.
E. Park, O, here. Councilwoman McMorro is present, she just stepped away. I held her. M. Park, Wu,
Here.
E. Park, here. The Borough Auditor is present, and the Municipal Clerk is present. Okay.
Thank you again for joining us, Paul. Sure. Okay. Can we stand and do the flag salute, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I spoke to Chris. He is on his way from the borough.
Madam Clerk, would you please read into the record the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting was given to the press and posted as required. Date and time of this meeting was legally given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. This notice is on file with the municipal clerk and posted on the bulletin board. Minutes of this meeting will be made available to the public upon the completion of typing and proofreading by the municipal clerk.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to open the meeting up to the public? All in favor?
Aye.
If there's anyone from the public who wishes to be heard, please raise your hand, be recognized, come up to the microphone, state your name and address. Okay, seeing and hearing from no one, can I have a motion to close the public portion?
Second.
All in favor? Let's work on the budget, because Paul has to depart for another meeting, and I'd like to get you accommodated.
I appreciate that, thank you.
So, do you want to start off?
Sure. So, I know Chris isn't here yet, but him and I have been communicating since our last meeting, and we wanted to do two things. One, as requested, I sent around some various scenarios of use of surplus. I did one for $1,300,000, $1,500,000, $1,700,000, and $1,840,000, which is utilizing your full cash surplus. But more importantly, I wanted to bring to your attention something that Chris and I have been working on and off throughout this whole budget process. It's the shift between residential and commercial properties, the tax burden. The number specifically that stands out is the increase from 18 and 17 on vacant lands is 146% increase on vacant lands. I'm not a tax assessor. I don't know how these numbers are generated. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I don't know specifically what properties are considered vacant. I don't know if they're being built on currently. We all know that the value in Englewood Cliffs, like most municipalities, is not in the building, it's in the land. So a vacant property kind of makes sense that it's increased. But the burden is definitely shifting from residential to vacants and to commercial. I don't have all the numbers yet. I only had 18, 17, and 16 available. Chris and the collector are going to work on getting me 15 and 14. I already have it.
Is this based on the email that I asked for?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the back years. I wasn't really
Well, I'd like to,
tuned into it then.
I asked him for the past 5
So,
years.
right. I only have 3. But just to give you an example, the commercials are down 4% in 2017 over 16, and another 6.6% from 18 to 17. So which that means is ballpark 10% of the commercial and apartments have shifted to either residential or to vacant land. Now, one of the things Chris did in the user-friendly budget is he calculated the residential without the vacant land. Now, we've always included the vacant land because there's never been this big shift. But Chris's number without the vacant land kind of is more in line with, makes sense. And to prove that point, if you look at the use of surplus scenarios, it all ties into this, where we're bringing the amount to be raised with taxation down to zero. It still shows an increase on the average house of $117. So when we talk about an increase in tax on the average house, just remember, not everybody has an average house. It includes vacant properties, which kind of skews, as I said, 146% increase in the vacant properties. So that skews the numbers a little bit. And then there's commercials and apartments, which kind of skews the numbers a little bit. So the average house is really an average house. It doesn't take into account these other factors. So again, my point is, if we bring the amount to be raised by taxation to zero, a zero increase, not $1, the average house calculation will still show $117.
Didn't I report on this last year?
Something
I did.
very similar happened last year.
Can I have that paper you're reading of, it was
Let me just say, it was
very
different
thorough
last year. Now, last year, what happened, and, you know, this is not the only client I have. I do have other clients. I've worked for 30 years in this business. It just seems that you got hit with the perfect storm from a negative standpoint last year, where all of a sudden, your net valuation taxable went lower. That was an anomaly. I've never even seen that.
Last year.
Last year.
Right.
So it was similar in that something unusual happened. Here, now, because of the tax appeals on the commercial level, the burden is getting shifted to the residential and to the vacants.
That's what happened last year, though.
No, last year, the net valuation taxable as a whole went down. So that was a big part of it.
Yeah, no, I believe it had to do with the tax appeals.
Oh, it's been happening,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what
Oh,
it was.
absolutely.
I have
It's
the
not
notes.
just this year. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Thank you.
Yes, the point was that the commercials went down almost 4% from 16 to 17.
Correct.
So if the commercials are going down 4%, somebody's making up that,
Right.
and that's where the average house calculation is a little skewed. So Chris's calculation without the vacants, when we were comparing the 2 years, was actually closer to, a real-world scenario, where right now you're at, like I said, $117 of whatever increase, if any, you have. $117 of that increase will just be because of the shift from commercial properties to residential, and more specifically, from commercial and apartments to vacant land.
What's causing that fall?
Tax appeals,
Appeals, the tax appeals.
commercial tax appeals. There's really no other explanation. I mean, commercial properties don't go down in value, so I'm guessing, an educated guess would be tax appeals.
So, Paul, that's almost the equivalent of like $300,000 in extra expenses, right? Because you said every $50,000, it's $19 increase to the average home.
It actually comes out to about, right, correct.
So in reality,
Yes.
our sort of 999 whole is $1.3 million.
Paul, just going back to my question, is that because the appraisals are not right, or because the tax courts are ruling against us? And what is the real issue there?
Well, in my opinion, the tax courts are not backing the assessor's value of the property, obviously, because they're issuing rulings against the assessors.
With the assessors in general, these are general
Opinion.
statements.
Yeah, in general, I mean, that's
You
what
should
the tax
always-
court ruling
You
is.
should always try and assess your properties as close to the real value as possible, which would alleviate a lot of these skewed numbers,
Mhm.
because you can't budget on numbers that are not real. We've had this discussion for many, 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 many years.
We have.
Yes, we have. When will you have those charts for us?
I don't, did you get a chance to run to the roll call? I'll go over after the meeting and get it. I haven't heard back from Janice.
You didn't copy me on it.
Oh, okay, all right, I thought I did,
Yeah.
okay, that's all right. I just need the tax duplicate sheets for the 15 and 14 year, and I'll plug them right in. I mean, I have it done, I just don't have the other sheets. So from a standpoint of, back to what I was asked to do for the last meeting, so you could see that, what I did was utilize the $1.3 million in surplus, the $1.5 million in surplus, $1.7 million, and then the full amount of $1.840 million, which obviously none of us would recommend, but even that would bring you to a $9,516 tax increase for the whole town. So even that can't get you to zero, but pretty close. And then at some point, I would suggest that somebody who has a lot more experience in assessed values than I do could look into your vacant land issue. It's not part of my scope, beyond my area of expertise, but I'd be very interested in how vacant land could go up 146%. It might have something to do with construction that's going on, again, beyond my pay grade.
Part of the reason why I'm running a little bit late today was waiting for the printer to print a bunch of copies of these. What I did was I plugged in the numbers that are on, the totals for what Paul has here, introduced the detail, into our current system, so that you can see where we are at year to date. Perhaps that'll help with, seeing the percentage spent on each one of the categories year to date, so that you know whether or not you're in line or not in line. There's some that, potentially, right now they're over, based on encumbrances that we have on estimates of what we're going to spend. So, and then there's some that might be under as well. So, I'm going to pass this out.
That would have been really helpful to have received that earlier than this meeting, though, right? To have been able to look at them and discuss and, like, review it
It's
instead of...
something that you've never received in the past. It's not,
No,
you don't typically overwrite your temporary budget until you have an
I'm just
adopted budget.
saying-
So it's something that I just did in the last hour.
Yeah, we have to go into closed also.
We will.
Yeah, I made 10 copies.
There's extra. Let me take one and pass it.
So,
Does she know where the tax group is?
should we go into close now? Okay.
She knows.
Let's do this. While Paul's still here, let's go into closed session pursuant to our agenda. Can you have a resolution, motion to go?
Gotta read.
Well, you need a motion to go in.
So moved.
Can I ask a question? Why is there a reason why we need to go into close now versus later? I mean, we have the two professionals here. But
Right.
don't we just finish off doing the workshop? The budget workshop?
Part of it is the budget.
It is the budget.
Oh, yes, but,
Yes.
I only see like 4 things, well, excluding the school versus,
It's the budget. It's budget.
it's the
It's got to do with budget.
There's four items.
I don't see anything that's pertaining to the budget.
Well, yeah, there's the clerk, what she wrote, it has to do with budgetary items.
Let's, I have a motion to go into closed. Have a second?
Oh, he has
Second. All in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, would you please read the appropriate language to go into closed session?
Resolution 18-100, resolution authorized closed session at meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Whereas the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain confidential matters. And whereas the minutes of the closed session will remain confidential as permitted under the Open Public Meetings Act, or shall be released when there is no further need for confidentiality, as authorized by the borough attorney. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs will go into closed session for the following matters as permitted under Open Public Meetings Act. Pending litigation regarding Borough of Englewood Cliffs on affordable housing, 800 Sylvan Avenue LLC versus the Borough of Englewood Cliffs Mayor, Council, and Planning Board, which is the Builders Remedy lawsuit. 800 Sylvan Avenue LLC versus the Planning Board builder suit to challenge Planning Board denial, including resident Karen Geiger's motion to intervene. And number 4, Eastwood versus Borough of Versa O and E Park.
Oh, really? Okay. Right.
Long Monday.
They're all tan. Both of you, actually. Yeah, they're both tan.
Oh, that's totally good.
Oh, no, not her. I need to get...
Have a motion to come out of closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's, speak to the budget. Paul and Chris, did you want to add anything else?
The only thing I'd like to add is, if we can firm up a special meeting date for the introduction.
So what I'm thinking is that at Wednesday's meeting, we'll have another work session in caucus, and we can probably introduce on Friday or Monday. How's everybody's schedule on Friday? Friday afternoon? No, okay,
Monday I am.
Monday?
William,
Yeah.
yeah, William's not here Monday. Yeah. But we have to go through some, the stuff here.
Right, if you want.
So I'm going to add to the caucus agenda discussion on, budget.
Monday the 14th, at what time would it be?
It's not gonna work.
Oh, it's not?
Well, next week, we're not gonna work. Obviously.
Well, is it just for,
Oh, Monday's not good.
the 11th?
It's my introduction.
This is just introduction. You can call in. Oh,
Friday or Monday? Friday. Can you call in Friday?
I'm here Friday.
Oh.
Friday, maybe if you do it early, or,
We've done 6:30 already.
the only time Friday I'm
New York
off is
City
9
people.
to 12 I'm out. Sorry. One Friday,
Oh, you say you can't do 11th?
9 to 12 I'm out. It's the one thing and I can't
What
change
day
it.
are you discussing?
Friday. You're only available in the morning?
I could probably do up until about 11,
Oh, no, I can't.
maybe 12, pushing 12.
Okay. William, would you be able to call in on Monday?
I'll be fine calling in, it's just like, leave it after.
Okay. Will you have one ended wherever you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Monday at, I'm sorry, yeah, Monday, US time, yeah.
Mark's not available Monday.
I'm away until Wednesday. I don't need to be at the introduction, but at that point, the numbers will have already been established, but I'm away until Wednesday.
Friday evening?
Friday? Yeah, no, I don't think I can.
Anytime Friday?
I'm available, like I said, for about maybe noon at the latest.
Oh, I feel-
anything on Friday
I feel
and
bad, I
4 a.m.,
can't-
I'm okay.
Yeah.
How about Thursday?
I can't, that's the one thing I can't do is Friday morning. I can't even change it.
Yeah.
Thursday? Thursday works for me.
Well, I'm gonna need a little time.
Yeah. But we're gonna meet again Wednesday, but yeah.
Having everything on one day.
I mean, if you called me Wednesday night after your meeting, and I worked on it all day Thursday, potentially I could do it Thursday
Yeah, but I have
afternoon.
to advertise.
Yeah. it's-
All right.
What was wrong with Monday? I got lost. You're not
Bill,
available? He was
So,
supposed to
and Mark.
call in.
I can call in.
You call in. Are you available
Well, you
anytime
want to just
Monday?
roll it a week? Will you be back on the 21st?
No, he has to introduce. Okay.
He says a date. That's okay.
The following Tuesday then? Is that?
No, he said that was,
No, he just has to.
I have to suggest that you do it as soon as possible.
no,
If you ask
yeah,
me.
he already, yeah.
All right, well, we have schedules that are conflicting, so...
What, are you available anytime Monday?
We can do like 8 a.m.
do morning.
7 a.m.?
In the morning, I'm good. I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bar that has
No, he's, because of his morning.
a.m. hearing.
Oh, I'm okay with 8, I'm at 6, it don't matter to me, I mean,
Early in the morning.
I don't care about that doesn't matter to me. 8 a.m., that's what I could do
Monday,
No. Monday!
Monday, 8 a.m. or Friday?
Monday, they said.
Okay, that's fine with me.
I could do Monday.
It is good.
So we're shooting for Monday, the 14th, 8 a.m.
Yeah, Monday.
We're gonna need a godfather, for sure.
Monday AM, is that it? I will, what day is Monday?
No, we don't need Chris for the introduction, right? We said we don't need him.
Or me.
Okay, just, we'll do our workshop on Wednesday.
Wednesday,
We'll
who's
get back to
coming
you.
Who's coming
But then
Wednesday
if you could
now?
advertise, it'd be great.
I am gonna, so Thursday. So the latest I could advertise is Thursday, in
So
case
Monday, 8 a.m.
anybody changes their mind.
Monday, 8 a.m.
That's good. You think this is
Okay.
enough time between Wednesday?
What I'm
and
saying, we
Thursday?
have a little bit of time, exactly.
All right?
But,
Thursday is the last day for me to advertise, just to be fair to
yeah,
it. So
but
I will wait.
Wednesday, which of the professionals is coming Wednesday?
When on Wednesday?
6:30.
We're gonna definitely need them.
Another
That-
budget workshop?
Well, we have a regular
At the
meeting,
caucus.
so during caucus we could discuss it.
Well, we kind of know the items that we have to focus on, so,
Frankly, I think you're deciding on surplus.
right, so we kind of know.
And if we think of, and anything else, if we're gonna, everybody's gonna do another,
Yeah.
one more time, look over if there's anything else they find.
Right.
Yeah, so Wednesday,
Hey, Paul, can I
Right.
ask a question?
yes, there will.
You know the sheet that you were looking at, with like different,
Scenarios?
scenarios
Yes.
with a surplus? Can we get an email?
He did,
Yeah.
he sent it, yeah, I think it
And
was,
if you need it again, just give me your email and I'll resend it.
you want it?
Whenever the last meeting
Big
was.
fun.
I don't know, but it might have been the next day.
Okay, like this, Sean.
I put some notes on here, just write your email up on top, maybe I typed it wrong or something.
Worth it.
Is it?
And the last question, the workshop would be in the beginning of caucus or at the end?
There it is, it's Tuesday. Yes, you're
We
right.
should do our meetings on the road.
Did you type your name right? I'll forward it
I
to her
think I
now.
just did a reply to all.
I'm just gonna forward it to her now, that's right.
So, again, just
You
for
have
the
it?
public's sake, this is the municipal budget, not the school, not the county, all right? We're not responsible for those folks.
I sent it to Gloria, but she forwarded it.
People are gonna take that over the counter because it's
Okay, and just for clarification, number 4 on our agenda under pending litigation, Eastwood versus Borough, et cetera, et al., we did not discuss any of that
No.
in closed session,
No,
just for the record.
not at all.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I can go look at my...
Go ahead.